to the sound of thunder. How far off I sat and wondered. Started humming a song from 1982. Okay.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I am your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve. And this week we are continuing with the 70 album project, where I'm going to do 70 albums for 70 years, just 'cause. So this week we are doing the years 1963 to 1972, and I'm going to pick one album from each year and talk about it a little bit.
1963, The Holy Modal Rounders.
Yeah, this is the first album by the Holy Modal Rounders. I guess what later became known as freak folk, and or acid folk, maybe they called it in the 60s. But this was their first album, Holy Modal Rounders, with a duo of Peter Stampfel and Steve Weber. This is on the Prestige Folklore label. And they did some kind of twisted takes on traditional old folk songs. Some really nice banjo playing on this, besides the fiddle and guitar. And there's some classics on here. The Cuckoo, Blues in the Bottle, Euphoria, Hesitation Blues. And these guys were also in the Fugs for their first few albums. So this is kind of the seeds of radical 60s freakiness kind of being planted.
1964, Getz Gilberto.
Yeah, Getz Gilberto, Stan Getz and Wow Gilberto and Antonio Carlos Jobim. This was the record that really brought bossa nova to the States and made it a popular musical form. Of course, it had the massive hit song "Girl from Ipanema," and Stan Getz followed this bossa nova Brazilian music path for several albums afterwards. And if you listen to the earlier Stan Getz, it's more kind of boppy, straight ahead jazz. But yeah, beautiful vocals of Astrud Gilberto. Just a wonderful record. One of those records everybody should have. And yeah, this is an old beat-up mono copy.
1965, Albemarle Heads, The Rolling Stones.
Okay, this was the second Rolling Stones album I ever owned. I think the first one I ever had was Between the Buttons. But anyway, this is another essential album, and it's another kind of transitional album too, because and this is the American version of the album, because I know the American and English albums for English groups in the early 60s there were differences. So the reason I'm saying this album is transitional is because it has probably one of their hugest hits on it, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, and it also has some great original songs, Play with Fire and Last Time. But it also has some covers of kind of soul and Motown kind of tracks, like Marvin Gaye's Hitchhike and That's How Strong My Love Is, and Cry to Me. So it's transitional from the earlier Stones, where they didn't write that many of their own songs, to where they wrote some classic songs. Now things are going to start to get interesting.
1966, Lee Cobb, The Mothers of Invention.
Yeah, so this is where Frank Zappa is unleashed onto the world. One of the great double albums of the 60s, along with Blonde on Blonde and Beatles' White Album. Well, what do I say about this record? It's, the two discs are, the first disc has is kind of satirical pop songs such as "Who Are the Brain Police" and "Hungry Freaks Daddy," and "Go Cry on Somebody Else's Shoulder." This kind of sarcastic doo-wop songs that Frank was doing throughout his career. And then the second disc stretches out with "Return of the Son of Monster Magnet" and "Help I'm a Rock," and "Trouble Every Day," which was written specifically as kind of a social commentary about the riots in 1965, and sadly still applies to a lot of situations in America today. In a nutshell, if somebody says, "Oh, there's so many Frank Zappa records, where do I even start?" Well, you can start at the beginning with Freak Out and take it from there.
1967 Easter Avenue, 13th floor elevators.
And it was Easter everywhere just the other day, last weekend. And yeah, the 13th floor elevators with the great Rocky Erickson on vocals. One of the great Texas 60s psychedelic bands. I mean, if you've never heard them, start with the first album. But this one is pretty amazing, this second album. This has the song "Slip Inside This House." And it's got one of the best covers of "It's All Over Now, Baby Blue." And it's got "Levitation." And it's just got this just druggy, heat, sunburned, just kind of vibe to it. It's, yeah, so leave your body behind and give this record a spin.
1968 Definition Chrysalis.
Okay, this is a little more obscure. This band is called Chrysalis. The album is called Definition, and it's on the MGM label. And the front man of this band, Spider Barber, got a couple of shout-outs on Frank Zappa records. On "We're Only in It for the Money," he talks about Spider from a group that hasn't blown your mind yet. He's talking about this. Members of this band also did some of the spoken word bits on Frank Zappa's Lumpy Gravy. But this record is a little more subtle. This record's a little more subtle than a Mothers of Invention record. There are some very tuneful pop songs, and the female singer in the band, Nancy Nairn, has a voice that's kind of somewhere between Grace Slick and Nico without the accent. There's the sound that there's a keyboard that a lot of people think is a harpsichord, which is actually a sped up piano, and some very deceptively complex songs where they seem simple, but then they become more complex. But interesting lyrical subject matter too. A lot of songs about insects, songs about bizarre hippie love triangles, songs about the generation gap, like Father's Getting Old, and Dr. Root's Garden. That's the weirdest song on this record. There's a song on here called April Grove that Nancy sings, which is beautiful, which was covered by Martina Topley Bird of trip hop fame. But anyway, this is a neat record.
1969 The Stooges.
Right. I mean, the first song just is 1969, so why wouldn't I have this be the album for 1969. I think this is cool that this is one of those bands, one of those albums that was considered obscure, maybe 30 years ago or so, but is now earned its rightful place in the rock canon with Iggy Pop on vocals and just classic songs. I actually lean a little more towards this album than Funhouse. I enjoyed the trippy We Will Fall. I enjoyed just the really punchy in-your-face mix. I know there's been a lot of talk about the original John Cale mix that's been reissued, but there's a little too much reverb and some of the guitars are buried, but you listen to the original mix and it's just very in-your-face with Ron Ashton's heavy wah-wah pedal guitar work. And what would be cool to hear is like a tight like mono mix of this. But anyway, groundbreaking album. The legend was that they wanted to just put a few 10-minute long jams on it and be done with it. And Elektra Records said, no, just write some more songs. And they did.
1970 Atom Heart Mother, Pink Floyd.
Yes, indeed. Don't have a cow, man. Have this album. And yeah, this is a fancy mo-fi just because I saw it in a store and I had a few bucks in my pocket back at the time, whenever this was. This is kind of the beginning of Pink Floyd's journey into conceptual work with the, it's just like you think, oh, it's just cows on the cover. But there's something just kind of eerie about Storm Thorgerson's photography, the way the cows are looking at you. And then it's got some funny titles like Funky Dung But yeah, the first side is the Atom Heart Mother Suite with orchestrations by Ron Geeson, and then 3 kind of low-key songs. If from Roger Waters, and Summer 68 from Rick Wright, and Fat Old Son from David Gilmour. And then another experimental piece at the end, Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast, which some people think don't have the patience for. But I was talking to one of my friends about Pink Floyd, and my friend said, oh, I love The Wall. The Wall is like a symphony. And me, being Mr. Know-It-All, said, no, well, actually, The Wall is an opera. Atom Heart Mother is a symphony.
1971, The Lost Ark of High Heel Boys Graphic.
Yeah, this is a goodie. Always like this Optical Illusion album cover. But yeah, Traffic, one of the prominent 60s English rock groups that stretched out and got a little more jazzy and improvisational for a few albums in the early 70s. This has become kind of a classic rock staple, the title track. But have you really listened to all 12 minutes of it? With some THC in your system. The African American gentleman in the band is Rebop Kwakuba, who later joined the next band that I'm going to talk about.
1972 East Ferguson.
Oh, the robot was really having trouble with that. This is E.G. Bamyasi by Can. Can being, of course, the German experimental powerhouse group. I could have gone with Tago Mago from 71. That's really considered the breakthrough with the 20-minute long jams. But I decided to go with this because this was my introduction to the band, and it's got some classic stuff. The song Vitamin C with brilliant drumming, more rhythmically complex One More Night and Pinch, and yeah, there's like really catchy tunes, and there's also some like really crazy improvisational freakouts. This is like the range of Tagomago compressed into one record. Here they are going off with a juggler on stage while they're jamming, and Damo Suzuki just doing his crazy vocals. But yeah.
Oh no, you can't leave yet. You gotta have a nice cup of tea with me.
All right. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Did I not say enough about these records? Am I just going, oh, blah, 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 this is good? You know, is there more little factoids I'm missing? Are there different albums that resonate with you for those years? Let me know in the comments. Yeah.
Now, JCPenney introduces MCS series components. So finely engineered and designed, so incredible in sound, MCS measures up to the greatest names in the business. For service, MCS goes the famous names one name better, JCPenney. MCS by JCPenney. We make sound pure and simple.
Latin Hustle, Night Fever, Disco Merengue. Learn the hottest disco steps at home with the Let's Disco Book It album, the complete disco dance instruction system. Don't miss the fun. Learn freestyle, line, and couples dances with the Let's Disco book. The album ties it together with professional instruction plus music by the biggest disco stars. Get in on the disco action. Let's Disco, only $7.95. Available at participating stores.
Okay, well, we need more funk in the VC. Another YouTuber named 6 Inch Pianist, English dude, he made a video a few weeks back called We Need More Funk in the VC, where he had a stack of funky records and he just flipped through them real quick. And I thought, that's a novel idea. I'm going to do the same thing, because we do need some funk.
So play that funky music, white boy. And don't forget to respect yourself. Staple Singers. Chambers Brothers' Greatest Hits, featuring the song Funky, sampled by Tribe Called Quest. Funkadelic, Uncle Jam Wants You, with the long version of Not Just Knee Deep, sampled by De La Soul. All right. Cain and Abel. And Girl You Move Me is a banger. Cain and Abel. Were they from France? The lead guy was named Frenchie. I think they were from France. Herbie Hancock, Man-Child, White Label Promo. It's got Stevie Wonder playing harmonica on one track. This is a funky album. And for those of you on the higher plane, Cosmic Funk from Lonnie Liston Smith and the Cosmic Echoes. Cosmic Funk. Cosmic Brian, you watching that? Slave. You may have passed this record up thinking it was a cheesy disco record, but this is a funk masterpiece. Listen to the guitar solo in Son of Slide. It will melt your brain. Sly and the Family Stone, Fresh, If You Want Me to Stay. K, Surah, Surah. Funky record. And get into some New York no wave styly Defunct. All right, well, these records are falling because I'm on the stairs. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.
And now, kiddies, it's time to realign your hi-fi set. We are now going to generate a tone for you. What is the tone, Harry? Oh, yeah. 1 million cycles. What's the matter? Can't you hear anything? Turn your volume up a little bit. 1 million cycles coming your way. Don't hear anything, huh? What's the matter with your set? Something's wrong with your set if you can't hear 1 million cycles.
That's it. I'm getting out of here.